1 year after the Council of 12 retreated, the galaxy was different. Word had spread to every corner of the known universe about what happened at Earth. The stories grew with each telling. Some said the Guardian had destroyed half the fleet. Others said he had turned the attackers into dust. The truth was stranger and more powerful than any of these tales. But the result was the same. Earth was untouchable. Trade ships began to arrive. Not as invaders, but as visitors. Species that had traveled between stars for millions of years came to see the planet that had produced such a guardian. They came to see the humans who were apparently destined for greatness. They came to understand. At first, humanity was afraid. They had only known aliens as threats. But slowly, carefully, they began to talk. First through translators, then through direct communication. Humans learned that the galaxy was vast and old and full of wonders they could barely imagine. And the galaxy learned that humans were curious and creative and brave in ways that older species had forgotten. Hana became the first human ambassador to the galactic community. She traveled to distant worlds, speaking to councils and senates and collectives. She told them about Earth, about humanity, about the guardian who watched over them. And everywhere she went, she saw the same reaction: respect, mixed with wonder, mixed with something like hope. They look at us differently now, she told Tejo when she returned from her travels. Before, we were primitives to be conquered. Now we are something else. Something they want to understand. Tejo sat on his usual rock near the broken mountain. The mountain had been made into a memorial now, a place where humans came to remember the night their guardian awakened. Tejo did not like the attention, but he understood why people needed it. The old ones saw this coming, he said. They knew that one day, humanity would join the galactic community. They just wanted to make sure you survived long enough to do it on your own terms. Do you ever miss them? The old ones? Tejo was quiet for a long moment. His eyes looked at something far away, something Hannah could not see. Every day. They were kind in ways that are hard to explain. They could have conquered this galaxy themselves. They had the power. But they believed that power should be used to help, not to control. That is why they made me. Not to rule over humanity, but to give humanity the chance to become what it could be. Hannah sat down next to him. Over the past year, they had become something like friends. She still did not fully understand what he was, but she knew what he felt. He felt lonely. 10,000 years alone would make anyone lonely. Will you stay? She asked. Now that the threats are gone? Tejo smiled his sad smile. The threats are never truly gone. The Council of 12 has accepted humanity for now, but there are others in the galaxy who did not receive the vision. And there are things beyond this galaxy, things even the old ones feared. I will stay as long as I am needed. And when you are no longer needed, then I will rest. The old ones promised me that when my duty was done, I could join them wherever they went. I look forward to that day. But not yet. Humanity is still young. You still need time to grow. In the months that followed, humanity changed faster than it had in the previous 1,000 years. With alien technology and knowledge flowing in, they solved problems that had seemed impossible. Disease, hunger, energy. One by one, the old challenges fell away. Humans began to build ships that could travel between stars. They began to establish colonies on other worlds. They began to become what the old ones had seen in their vision. But not everything was perfect. Some humans wanted to use their new power for conquest. They looked at the weaker species of the galaxy and saw opportunities. They wanted to become like the Vakari, like the Krell, like all the empires that had tried to take from others. Tejo watched these humans with concern. He had protected humanity from external threats, but he could not protect them from themselves. That was not his purpose. That was their own responsibility. One night, a group of human military leaders came to the Broken Mountain. They wanted Taeho to help them build weapons. They wanted to use his power to make humanity the dominant force in the galaxy. "With your help, we could rule everything," their leader said. He was a general named Sung, a man whose eyes were full of ambition and hunger. "We could make sure no one ever threatens Earth again." Taeho looked at him for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was gentle but firm. The Old Ones could have ruled the galaxy. They chose not to. Do you know why? Sung did not answer. Because ruling through force is not strength. It is fear wearing the mask of power. True strength is building something others want to join, not something they fear. The Old Ones knew this. They saw that humanity had the potential for true strength. That is why they protected you. "But with your power, my power is not yours to use," Taeho said. His eyes glowed gold, just for a moment. "I am a guardian, not a weapon. I will protect humanity from those who wish to destroy it. But I will not help humanity destroy itself. That is a choice only you can make." The general left angry, but he did not come back. He could not force the guardian to do anything, and everyone knew it. The dream of easy conquest died that night, at least for a while. Years passed. Then decades. Hana grew old, as humans do. Her hair turned white and her steps became slow. But she still visited Taeho at the mountain, still talked with him about the future. On her last visit, she could barely walk. She sat beside him, looking at the stars that had become familiar friends to humanity. "I always wanted to ask you something," she said. Her voice was thin now, tired. "Do you ever regret it? Spending your existence protecting us?" Taeho looked at her, this woman who had been the first human to show him kindness after his awakening, who would become his friend in a universe where he had none. "Never," he said. "Not for a single moment. The Old Ones gave me a purpose. They gave me something to believe in. And I have watched that belief become real. I have watched humanity grow from frightened children into something beautiful. I have seen you reach for the stars and touch them. How could I regret being part of that?" Hannah smiled. It was the same smile she had given him on that first night, when she had said, "Thank you," and meant it with her whole heart. "Will you remember me?" she asked. "I will remember every human I have ever met," Taeho said. "But you, I will remember longest. You were the first to see me as more than a guardian. You saw me as a person. That is a gift I will carry forever." Hannah died 3 days later. She was buried near the Broken Mountain, in sight of the place where Taeho kept his watch. She was the first of many friends he would lose to time. But he did not let the losses make him cold. Each human he knew, each human he lost, reminded him why he existed. 100 years after the Guardian awakened, humanity had spread across a dozen star systems. They had joined the galactic community as equals. They had solved problems that older species had struggled with for millions of years. They were not perfect. They still fought, still made mistakes, still hurt each other, but they were growing. They were becoming. Taeho still sat by his mountain, watching the sky. But now he watched with different eyes. Not the eyes of a guardian preparing for attack, but the eyes of a parent watching a child take its first steps. Humanity did not need him as much anymore. They were learning to protect themselves. One day, a young woman climbed the mountain to meet him. Her name was Su Bin, and she was Hana's great-great-granddaughter. She had her ancestors' eyes and her ancestors' courage. "The council wants to know if you will speak at the centennial celebration," she said. 100 years since you awakened. They want to honor you." Taeho thought about it. He had never liked public attention. But maybe, after all this time, it was right. "I will speak," he said, "but not to be honored. I will speak to remind humanity of something important. On the day of the celebration, Billions of humans watched as the guardian of Earth stood before them. He looked the same as he had 100 years ago, a young face, ancient eyes, golden light behind his gaze. When he spoke, his voice reached every corner of human space. 100 years ago, I awakened to protect you from threats beyond your world. Today, you face a different kind of threat, the threat of forgetting who you are. You have power now. You have strength. But power and strength are not what make you special. What makes you special is your heart. Your ability to hope when hope seems foolish. Your ability to love when love seems dangerous. Your ability to reach out to strangers and make them friends. Do not lose these things. Do not become like the empires you once feared. Be what the old ones believed you could be, not conquerors, but healers. Not rulers, but partners. Not masters of the galaxy, but servants of something greater than yourselves. I will continue to watch over you. But the true guardian of Earth is not me. It is you, all of you. It has always been you. The galaxy watched. The galaxy listened. And in corners of space that humans had not yet reached, ancient beings who had lived since the birth of stars turned their attention to the small blue planet and its golden protector. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had seen species burn across the cosmos. But they had never seen anything quite like this. A guardian who protected without ruling, who loved without possessing, who believed in a future he might never see. The lost guardian of Earth had awakened. 3 months passed since the Krell retreated. In that time, Earth changed. People no longer felt alone in the universe. They knew that there were things out there, terrible things, powerful things, and they knew that something stood between them and the darkness. Teho became the most famous being on the planet. His image was everywhere. Some people worshipped him as a god. Others feared him as a monster. Most simply did not know what to think. He was too powerful to be human, too human to be understood. But Teho did not care about fame or worship. He spent his days sitting near the broken mountain, watching the sky, waiting. Hannah visited him often. She had been promoted to general after the invasion, the youngest in Korean history, but she still found time to sit with the ancient guardian and talk. The world leaders want to meet you, she said one evening. They want to form an alliance. They think you can help us build better defenses. Teho shook his head. I am not a weapon for humans to use. I am a shield. There is a difference. I know. But they are scared. Everyone is scared. 2 fleets came to conquer us in 3 months. What happens when something worse comes? Teho looked at her with his ancient eyes. Something worse is already coming. Far across the galaxy, in a place where stars were old and dying, a council was meeting. This was not a council of one empire or one species. This was the council of 12, the 12 most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. Together, they controlled half of all inhabited worlds. Together, they had destroyed threats that no single empire could face alone. And now they had a new threat to discuss. The guardian of Earth, said the first voice. A being of pure energy that flickered like a blue flame. He has defeated the Vakari and the Krell without effort. He's a danger to everything we have built. He has not attacked anyone, said the second voice. A massive creature with a body like a mountain of stone. He only defends. Perhaps we should leave him alone. Leave him alone? The third voice laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. He has unlimited power in the hands of a primitive species. What happens when humans learn to use him as a weapon? What happens when they decide to conquer instead of defend? The council argued for 7 days. In the end, they reached a decision. The guardian had to be tested. If he could be defeated, he would be destroyed. If he could not be defeated, then at least they would know the limits of his power. They called it Operation Final Light. It would be the largest military action in galactic history on Earth. Taeho felt them coming before they arrived. He stood up from his rock and looked at the sky. His face was calm, but his eyes were sad. "How many?" Hannah asked. She had learned to read his moods over the months. "All of them," Taeho said. "Every major power in the galaxy. They are afraid of me, so they are coming together to destroy me." Hannah felt ice in her stomach. "Can you stop them all?" Taeho was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know. I have never faced anything like this. The old ones made me powerful, but even they had limits. Then what do we do?" He turned to her and smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen from him, not sad, not tired, but warm and genuine. "We show them what humanity is worth protecting." The fleet arrived at midnight. It blocked out the stars, filling the sky with shapes of every kind. Massive warships the size of continents. Living ships that breathed in the vacuum of space. Energy beings that floated like angry ghosts. Machines so advanced they seemed like magic. 10 million ships. 1 billion soldiers. Weapons that could unmake reality itself. Taeho flew up to meet them alone, as he always did. But this time, he did not stop at the edge of the atmosphere. He flew further, past the moon, until he floated in the empty space between Earth and its enemies. "Guardian of Earth," the first voice spoke. Its words carried across space like thunder. "We are the Council of 12. We represent the combined might of galactic civilization. You are a threat that cannot be allowed to exist. Surrender yourself, and we will spare your planet." Taeho's golden light grew brighter. "I am not a threat to anyone who comes in peace. I am only a threat to those who wish to harm my world. Your world is primitive. Your species is young. You have no right to such power. Rights are not given," Taeho said. "They are protected. And I will protect humanity's right to exist, no matter what you send against me. Then you choose destruction." The attack began. It was not like the Vicari assault or the Krellmind weapon. It was everything at once: physical weapons, energy beams, psychic attacks, reality warping technology, living weapons that could eat stars. The combined power of 12 civilizations, all focused on a single point in space. Taeho raised both hands. Golden light exploded from his body, forming a shield around him. The attacks hit the shield and broke against it like waves against a rock. But the waves kept coming, harder and harder, more and more. On Earth, people watched in terror. The sky turned white with distant explosions. The moon trembled from the energy being released. Some people prayed. Some people cried. Hannah stood alone on a hilltop, watching the battle she could barely see, believing in a guardian she had come to call a friend in space. Taeho was struggling. For the first time in 10,000 years, he felt pain. His shield was holding, but cracks were appearing. The power being thrown at him was beyond anything he had faced. Even the old ones might have fallen to this attack, but he did not fall. Deep inside him, in the place where his power lived, something awakened. It was the final gift of the old ones, a seed of energy they had planted in his heart, to be used only when all seemed lost. It was their last hope, their final act of love for the species they believed in. Taeho felt it bloom inside him. His golden light changed, becoming whiter, purer, brighter. His eyes became twin stars. His body began to glow so intensely that the attacking ships had to turn off their sensors to avoid being blinded. When he spoke, his voice was not just his own. It was the voice of the old ones, speaking through him from beyond death. Enoughh. The word shook the fabric of space itself. Every weapon stopped firing. Every ship lost power. Every being in the fleet felt something ancient and terrible looking directly at them. Taeho spread his arms wide. The white light expanded from him in a perfect sphere, growing larger and larger until it touched every ship in the fleet. It did not destroy. It did not harm. It simply showed. Every being in that fleet suddenly saw the same vision. They saw Earth. They saw humans, fragile, short-lived, imperfect humans. But they also saw what humans could become. They saw a future where humanity spread across the stars, not as conquerors, but as healers. They saw humans solving problems that had plagued the galaxy for millions of years. They saw them bringing together species that had been enemies for eons. They saw the reason the Old Ones had created a guardian. The vision lasted only a second, but it changed everything. The first voice of the council was the first to speak after the light faded. "We did not understand," it said. "We thought you were protecting a primitive species. But you are protecting a possibility. A hope." Taiho floated in space, exhausted but still glowing. "Humanity is not ready yet. They are young and foolish and often cruel. But one day, they will be the best of us all. I believe this. The Old Ones believe this. Now you have seen it too." The fleet did not attack again. One by one, the ships turned and left, carrying with them a vision of a future that might come to be. The Council of 12 had come to destroy a threat. They left having found a promise. Taiho returned to Earth as the sun rose. He landed next to Hannah, who was crying without knowing why. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "It is over," he said. "For now. What did you show them?" she asked. He looked at her, at the small, brave human who had stood by him through everything, and smiled. "I showed them you. All of you. What you will become." Hannah did not understand, but somehow she felt proud. Proud of her species. Proud of her world. Proud of the future that a dying race of ancients had believed in so strongly that they had created a guardian to protect it. The galaxy would not forget what happened that day, and neither would humanity. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. On 1,000 worlds, billions of beings watched the footage from the Vakari fleet. They saw the golden figure rise from Earth. They saw him stand alone against an armada. They saw the full power of the Vakari weapons hit him, and they saw him survive without a scratch. They saw him disable an entire fleet with a wave of his hand. The footage played again and again. Every news station in the galaxy showed it. Every government discussed it. Every military studied it. And everyone asked the same question: what was that thing on Earth? In the capital of the Vakari Empire, the High Council met in emergency session. Admiral Rico stood before them, his head bowed in shame. He had lost nothing, no ships, no soldiers, but he had lost something far more important. He had lost a battle without being able to fight. "You retreated," said the first counselor. "You had 1,000 ships, and you retreated from a single enemy." "He was not a single enemy," Rico said. "He was something else. Something we have never seen. Our weapons did nothing to him. Nothing. And he disabled our entire fleet in 1 second. If he had chosen to destroy us, we would all be dead." The council members looked at each other. In 10,000 years of conquest, no one had ever spoken to them like this. No one had ever admitted that the Vakari Empire had found something it could not defeat. "What do you recommend?" asked the first counselor. Rico looked up. His old eyes were tired, but his voice was steady. "I recommend that we listen to him. We should never go near Earth again." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Counselors shouted about honor and pride and the reputation of the Empire. But Rico just stood there, waiting for them to finish. He had seen the golden light. He had felt the power. Words meant nothing compared to that dot on Earth. The world was trying to understand what had happened. Every government wanted to meet Taiho. Every scientist wanted to study him. Every religion wanted to claim him. But Taiho wanted none of these things. He sat on a rock near the broken mountain, looking at the sunrise. Hannah sat nearby, watching him. In the 2 days since the Vakari retreated, she had barely left his side. She did not know why. Maybe she felt safe near him. Maybe she just wanted to understand. How old are you? She asked. Tae-Ho thought about it. I do not count years anymore. But I was born before your species learned to make fire. I was young when they put me in the mountain. Now I am old. Who were they? The ones who put you there? We called them the Old Ones. They were not human, but they loved humans. They saw potential in your species. They believed that one day, humans would become something great. But they also knew the dangers of the galaxy. So they created me a guardian to protect Earth until humanity was ready to protect itself. Hannah looked at the sky. It was blue and peaceful, but she knew that beyond it was an endless darkness, full of things that wanted to hurt them. Are we ready? She asked. To protect ourselves? Tae-Ho smiled sadly. No, not yet. But you are closer than you were. Their conversation was interrupted by a sound, a deep humming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Tae-Ho stood up quickly, his eyes turning golden. What is it? Hannah asked. Someone else is coming. High above Earth, a new fleet appeared. These ships were different from the Vakari, sleeker, more elegant, made of silver metal that shined like mirrors. There were only 20 ships, but each one was larger than anything the Vakari had brought. This was the Dominion of Crow. They were older than the Vakari Empire. They had been conquering worlds when the Vakari were still learning to walk. And they had decided that this guardian was a threat that needed to be eliminated. On the lead ship, Commander Sora watched the blue planet below. She was tall for her species, with silver skin and 4 eyes that could see in every spectrum of light. She had destroyed civilizations that were more powerful than the Vakari. She was not afraid of some primitive protector. We have analyzed the footage, said her advisor, a smaller being named Tao. The Guardian used energy manipulation on a scale we have never seen. He may be more dangerous than we thought. He may be powerful, Sora said. But nothing is unlimited. Everything has a weakness. We just need to find his. She pressed a button on her chair. Prepared the Mindbreaker. Tae-Ho flew up from Earth again. He passed through the clouds and entered space, facing the Silver Fleet. These ships were beautiful in a cold way, like knives made of light. You are the Guardian, Sora's voice came through space. I am Commander Sora of the Dominion of Crow. We do not come to conquer your world. Then why do you come? To test you, to understand you, and if necessary, to destroy you. Tae-Ho's eyes glowed brighter. Many have tried to destroy me. All have failed. We are not like the Vakari. We do not rely on simple weapons. We have other methods. Before Tae-Ho could respond, something hit his mind. It was not physical, it was mental, a wave of psychic energy designed to tear through thoughts and memories. The Crow had perfected mind weapons over millions of years. They could destroy the sanity of entire planets with a single blast. Tae-Ho felt the attack enter his consciousness. It was strong, stronger than anything he had faced in 10,000 years. It tried to find his fears, his doubts, his weaknesses. It tried to break him from the inside. On the Crow ship, Sora watched with satisfaction. The Mindbreaker is working. His mental defenses are strong, but they are breaking. Soon he will be nothing but a shell. But Tal was watching the readings carefully. Commander, something is wrong. The energy levels are not decreasing. They are increasing. What? Inside Tae-Ho's mind, something was happening. The psychic attack had awakened memories, memories of the Old Ones, memories of his creation, memories of his purpose. He remembered why he existed. He remembered what he was protecting. He remembered the love that the Old Ones had felt for humanity, the hope they had placed in this small species on a small planet. and he remembered his power. The golden light around him exploded outward. The psychic attack shattered like glass. Taeho's eyes opened, burning with light that could be seen from Earth. "You tried to break my mind," he said. His voice was different now, deeper, older, filled with the weight of millennia. "Let me show you what a broken mind feels like." He raised his hand toward the Krell fleet. Golden light shot from his palm, not as a weapon, but as a mirror. He took every bit of psychic energy they had sent at him and reflected it back at them, multiplied 1,000 times. On every Krell ship, soldiers fell to their knees. Commanders screamed. Crew members clutched their heads as their own weapon turned against them. It was not enough to kill them. Taeho did not want to kill, but it was enough to show them true fear. Sora collapsed in her chair. Her 4 eyes filled with tears. She had felt pain before, but this was different. This was the pain of understanding just how small she was in the face of something truly ancient. "Enough," Taeho said, and the attack stopped. "Go back to your dominion. Tell him the same thing I told the Vakari. Earth is protected. Do not come here again." The Krell fleet retreated. They moved faster than the Vakari had, desperate to escape the golden light that had shown them their own minds. Taeho returned to Earth. He landed next to Hannah, who had watched everything on her device. Her face was pale, but her eyes were wide with something that might have been wonder. "You reflected their attack," she said. "You used their own weapon against them." "I do not like to fight," Taeho said, "but I will do what I must to protect this world. The Old Ones gave me this power for one reason, to make sure humanity survives long enough to become what it is meant to be." "What are we meant to be?" Taeho looked at the sky, at the stars that were beginning to appear as the sun set. "Something wonderful," he said. "Something that even the Old Ones could not imagine. I have waited 10,000 years to see it. I can wait a little longer." But in the darkness of space, other eyes were watching. Other minds were planning. The galaxy had learned about Earth's guardian, and not everyone was ready to give up. Admiral Rico had conquered 47 worlds. He had watched species beg for mercy. He had ordered the destruction of civilizations that refused to kneel. In 300 years of service to the Vakari Empire, he had never known fear. Fear was for the weak. Fear was for the conquered. But now, staring at the golden figure floating in space before his fleet, Rico felt something he did not recognize. It started in his stomach and crawled up his spine. It made his hands grip his chair until his knuckles turned white. "Scan him again," he ordered. "There must be an error." His officers scanned again. And again. The results were the same every time. "Admiral, the energy readings are beyond our measurement systems. Our computers cannot calculate his power level. It simply says unlimited." "That is not possible," Rico said, but his voice had lost its strength. On the screen, the golden being just floated there, waiting. He looked so small compared to their ships. A single figure against an armada that had crushed empires. It should have been funny. It was not. "Send a message," Rico commanded. "Tell him to stand down. Tell him that resistance to the Vakari Empire means the destruction of his entire species." The message was sent. For a long moment, there was silence. Then the golden figure spoke. His voice filled every speaker on every ship, calm and clear. "I am Taeho, guardian of Earth. I have protected this world for 10,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched stars die. Your empire is young. Your power is small. Turn your ships around. Leave this system. Never return. This is your only warning." Rico's fear turned to anger. No one spoke to the Vakari like this. No one gave them orders. He stood from his chair, his gray face dark with rage. "All ships, open fire on that creature. Destroy him. 1,000 ships pointed their weapons at Taeho. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, gravity beams, weapons that could melt moons and shatter planets. They all fired at once. The space around Taeho turned white with destruction. The energy released in that single moment could have powered a civilization for 1,000,000 years. The blast was visible from Earth, a second sun that lit up the night sky. On the military base, Hana watched with tears in her eyes. She had seen that golden light rise from the mountain. She had felt hope for the first time since the alien message. Now that hope was dying. Nothing could survive that, said the soldier next to her. Nothing. But Hana kept watching. Something told her to wait. Something told her this was not over. The white light faded. The darkness of space returned. And there, exactly where he had been before, floated Taeho. He had not moved. He had not raised a hand to defend himself. He had simply let their weapons hit him. He was completely unharmed. On the Vakari command ship, silence filled the bridge. Officers stared at their screens with open mouths. Soldiers forgot to breathe. Admiral Rico sat back down slowly, his legs no longer able to hold him. "That is not possible," he whispered. "Nothing can survive a full fleet assault." Taeho spoke again. His voice was still calm, but now there was something cold in it. Something dangerous. "I gave you a warning. You did not listen. Now I will give you a lesson." He raised his right hand. His fingers spread wide. Golden light gathered in his palm, growing brighter and brighter until it was hard to look at. On Earth, Hana leaned forward. "What is he doing?" Taeho pushed his hand forward. A wave of golden energy shot out from his palm. It was not a beam or a ball. It was a wave, spreading in all directions, washing over the entire fleet in seconds. Every Vakari ship went dark. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Lights flickered and died. Life support systems struggled to stay online. 1,000 ships, the pride of the Vakari Empire, became nothing more than floating metal. Admiral Rico stumbled in the darkness of his bridge. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. His officers were screaming, trying to restart systems that would not respond. What happened? He demanded. What did he do? He disabled everything, Admiral. Every system. Every weapon. Every engine. We are completely helpless. Rico felt his legs go weak. In 300 years, no one had ever made him feel helpless. He was the conqueror. He was the destroyer. He was the one who made others feel fear. Now he understood what fear truly was. Taeho's voice came through the emergency speakers. "I could destroy you. All of you. It would take me less time than it takes you to blink. But I am not a killer of the helpless. I am a guardian. So I will give you one more chance." He floated closer to the command ship. His golden glow filled the bridge through the windows. Rico could see his face now young and human, but with eyes that held the weight of millennia. "Go back to your empire," Taeho said. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them that Earth is protected. Tell them that if any ship comes within 1 light year of this system with hostile intent, I will know. And I will come. And I will not be merciful a second time." Rico's pride screamed at him to refuse. His training told him to fight. But his instinct, the deep animal part of his brain that had kept his species alive for millions of years, told him to run. Run and never look back. "We cannot leave," one of his officers said. "Our engines are dead." "I will return your power," Taeho said. "But only your engines. Your weapons will remain offline until you leave this system. Do you understand?" Rico closed his eyes. He thought about his empire. He thought about the 1,000 worlds they ruled. He thought about his reputation, his honor, his pride. Then he thought about the golden light and the calm voice, and the unlimited power that had crushed his fleet without effort. "We understand," he said. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. One by one, the Vakari ships turned around. Their engines glowed to life, pushing them away from Earth, away from the Golden Guardian who watched them go. Within an hour, the fleet that had come to conquer Earth was retreating into the darkness between stars. Tejo floated alone in space, watching until the last ship disappeared. Then he turned and looked down at Earth, the blue and green world that he had sworn to protect so long ago. It was still there, still safe, still home to the species that the old ones had loved so much. He descended slowly, passing through the atmosphere like a falling star. People on the ground looked up and saw him coming, a figure of golden light. Dropping from the heavens like a god returning home, Hannah ran out of the military base. She stood in the open field, looking up at the sky. The golden light was coming closer. She could feel warmth on her face, like standing in sunlight. Te-Ho landed 50 meters away from her. The glow around him faded. Without it, he looked almost normal, a young man with black hair and tired eyes. Only the golden light behind his eyes hinted at what he truly was. He looked at Hannah. She looked at him. "Thank you," she said. It felt like such a small thing to say, but she did not know what else to offer. Tejo smiled. It was a sad smile, the smile of someone who had seen too much and slept too long. "Do not thank me yet," he said. "They will tell others, and others will come." This was just the beginning. The night sky was empty now, but both of them knew it would not stay that way for long. The mountain had no name. It stood alone in the deep forests of Korea, forgotten by maps and ignored by travelers. The locals called it the Sleeping Mountain because nothing grew on its peak, and birds never flew above it. They said the mountain was waiting for something. They were right. 10,000 years ago, before humans built their first cities, before they learned to write or farm, something was placed inside that mountain. It was not treasure. It was not a weapon. It was a man. And he was still alive. Deep inside the rock, in a chamber made of metal that should not exist, Tejo floated in darkness. His eyes were closed. His heart beat once every 100 years. His body did not age. He simply waited, as he had waited since the old ones placed him there and said, "Sleep now. Wake only when they come." The old ones were gone. Their cities had turned to dust. Their names were forgotten. But their final gift to Earth remained, a guardian, sleeping in the dark, dreaming of stars. On the surface, the world had changed many times. Ice covered the land and melted away. Forests grew and burned. Humans spread across every corner of the planet. They built towers that touched the clouds. They created machines that could think. They sent small ships into space and believed they were alone in the universe. They were wrong. In a military base, 200 kilometers from the Sleeping Mountain, a young woman named Hannah stared at her computer screen. She was 26 years old, a captain in the Korean Space Defense Force. Her job was simple: watch the sky and report anything unusual. For 3 years, she had seen nothing but satellites and space garbage. Tonight was different. "What is that?" she whispered. The screen showed objects entering the solar system. Not one or two, but hundreds. They moved in perfect formation, faster than any human ship could travel. They were not asteroids. They were not natural. They were coming straight for Earth. Hannah's hand shook as she reached for the alarm. Before she could touch it, every screen in the base turned red. Every speaker screamed the same warning. Across the world, every military base, every government building, every news station received the same message. It was not in any human language, but somehow everyone understood it. People of this planet, we are the Vakari Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your world is now ours. Do not resist. Resistance means death. You have 6 hours to surrender." The world went mad. In every city, people ran into the streets. Some screamed. Some prayed. Some fought each other for food and water. Governments tried to organize defenses, but their weapons were toys compared to what was coming. The Vicari had destroyed civilizations that were 1,000,000 years more advanced than humanity. Earth had no chance. Hannah did not run. She sat at her desk and watched the alien fleet grow closer. On her screen, she could now see the ships clearly. They were black and massive, each one larger than a city. The biggie ship, the one at the center, was the size of a small moon. It blocked out the stars as it approached. 6 hours, she said to herself. What can anyone do in 6 hours? Deep beneath the sleeping mountain, something heard her question. Tejo's heart beat. Not once, but twice in the same minute. Then 3 times. Then 10 times. His eyes moved beneath closed lids. His fingers twitched. The machines around him, silent for 10,000 years, began to hum. Lights flickered in the darkness. The old ones had built him to protect Earth from the things that live between the stars. They had seen the empires that burned across the galaxy. They had watched civilizations rise and fall. They knew that one day something would come for humanity. So they created a guardian, a being of flesh and energy, of human heart and cosmic power. Now, after 10 millennia of sleep, Tejo opened his eyes. They glowed like 2 golden suns in the darkness of the chamber. He took his first breath in 10,000 years, and the air filled his lungs like fire. His muscles screamed as they woke from their long sleep. Every cell in his body burned with power that had been building for centuries. "They have come," he said. His voice was rough, unused for so long. But there was no fear in it. There was only purpose. He raised his hand, and the ceiling of his chamber exploded upward. Rock and metal flew into the sky. The sleeping mountain cracked open like an egg, and a pillar of golden light shot toward the heavens. Hannah saw it on her screen. Everyone on Earth saw it. A beam of impossible light rising from the Korean mountains, reaching up toward the alien fleet like a warning finger pointed at an unwelcome guest. The Vicari saw it too. On the command ship, Admiral Rico leaned forward in his chair. He was old for his species, with gray skin and eyes that had seen 100 worlds burn. Nothing surprised him anymore. Nothing scared him. But when he saw that light rising from the small blue planet, he felt something cold move through his chest. "What is that?" he asked. His officers checked their instruments. "Unknown energy signature, Admiral. It does not match anything in our database. The power level is impossible." "Impossible?" Rico almost laughed. "Nothing is impossible. It is probably some primitive defense system. Scan it." The scan came back in seconds. The officers looked at each other with wide eyes. "Admiral," one of them said, his voice shaking, "it is not a machine. It is alive, and it is rising toward us." In the heart of the golden light, Tejo flew upward. He left the broken mountain behind him. He passed through the clouds. He broke through the atmosphere and entered the cold blackness of space. The stars surrounded him, familiar friends he had not seen in so long. Ahead of him, the Vicari fleet hung like a dark cloud above his world. 1,000 ships. 1,000,000 soldiers. Weapons that could crack planets in half. Tejo smiled. His smile was not kind. "You should not have come here," he said, and his voice carried through the vacuum of space, reaching every ship, every soldier, every corner of the fleet. "This world is protected." The galaxy was about to learn what that meant.